Welcome back everyone to another massive update out of Dallas. And trust me, this one is going to shake up the NFL world. There's a bombshell report swirling around the league right now that has fans absolutely losing their minds. Could the Dallas Cowboys really be making a move for one of the league's most dominant defensive players, Maxx Crosby of the Las Vegas Raiders? That's right. According to multiple whispers coming out of NFL circles, the Cowboys have at least made an exploratory call to the Raiders about what it would take to pull off a blockbuster trade for the all-pro edge rusher. And if this turns out to be true, it would completely change the outlook of the Cowboys' defense and instantly make them one of the scariest teams in football. Now, before we dive into the details, let's set the scene. The Dallas Cowboys have been searching for that final piece to push them over the top. They've been right there, knocking on the door of greatness, but something always seems to be missing when the playoffs arrive. Whether it's consistency on offense, mental breakdowns, or just not having that extra spark on defense when it matters most, the Cowboys have been desperate to make that one move that could transform them from contenders to legitimate Super Bowl favorites. And what better way to do that than by adding one of the most ferocious pass rushers in the entire NFL, a player who brings fire, grit, and relentless energy every single snap. Maxx Crosby has become a force of nature in the league. Since being drafted in 2019, he's turned himself from a mid-round pick into one of the most feared defenders in football. His motor never stops. He's the kind of player who brings intensity not just to the game, but to the entire locker room. With double-digit sacks in multiple seasons, a constant presence in the backfield, and leadership that's been invaluable to a struggling Raiders team, Crosby has become the beating heart of the silver and black. But in Las Vegas, the winds of change seem to be blowing, and if the Raiders are looking to rebuild, it's not crazy to think that a player like Crosby could become available for the right price. The report that started all this came from a well-connected NFL insider who suggested that Dallas has checked in with the Raiders about Crosby's availability. That doesn't necessarily mean trade talks are happening right now, but it does mean that the Cowboys are exploring every possible option to boost their defensive front. And let's be honest, pairing Maxx Crosby with Micah Parsons? That's a defensive coordinator's dream and an opposing quarterback's nightmare. Imagine an offensive line having to deal with Parsons coming off one edge and Crosby off the other. It would be pure chaos. That kind of pressure could change entire games, force turnovers, and give Dallas a defense that could go toe-to-toe with anyone in the NFL. The timing of this rumor is also fascinating. The Cowboys have been playing well, but there's been a lingering sense that they're not quite complete. Some fans feel the pass rush outside of Parsons has been inconsistent, especially after the loss of key rotational players and the recent injuries that have hit the defensive line. Adding someone like Crosby wouldn't just fix that issue, it would elevate the entire defense to an elite level. We're talking about turning one of the league's best defenses into something historic. The Cowboys front office knows the window is open right now. Dak Prescott is playing sharp football, the running game is finding rhythm, and the defense already has stars at every level. If Jerry Jones wants to make a statement that this is the year, pulling off a deal for Crosby would do exactly that. But of course, a trade like this wouldn't come cheap. The Raiders, despite their struggles, know exactly what they have in Maxx Crosby. He's not just their best defensive player, he's their leader, their face, and the emotional anchor of that team. He's under contract for several more years, and the Raiders would likely demand a king's ransom in return. We're talking multiple first-round picks, possibly a starting caliber player, and maybe even more. The Cowboys would need to decide if they're willing to sacrifice part of their future for a player who could help them win right now. Jerry Jones has made big splashes before, and he's never been afraid to take risks when he believes a championship is within reach. So the real question is, would he do it again for Maxx Crosby? There's also the question of fit, and honestly, it's hard to imagine a better one. Crosby's style is pure intensity. He's the type of player who thrives in high-pressure situations and leads by example. He's known for playing through pain, for never taking a playoff, and for setting the tone defensively. Pairing him with Micah Parsons could create one of the most intimidating duos in recent NFL memory. And it's not just about sacks, both players are disruptive forces who can shut down the run, force fumbles, and completely alter the way offenses plan each week. Defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer would have the luxury of unleashing creative packages that could confuse even the best quarterbacks. Picture Parsons blitzing from the middle while Crosby crashes off the edge. That's the kind of chaos that keeps offensive coordinators awake at night. Now, some analysts are skeptical, suggesting that the Raiders would never part ways with a player like Crosby. And they might be right. But it's also true that the Raiders are in a weird place right now. They've been inconsistent, they're not true contenders in the AFC, and their roster still needs major work. Trading Crosby could give them a mountain of draft capital to rebuild quickly. It's not the kind of move fans want to see, but it's the type of deal rebuilding teams sometimes have to make. And if any team is bold enough to make the call and put real offers on the table, it's Dallas. As for Crosby himself, he's made it clear that he loves Las Vegas and wants to win there. He's said countless times that he's loyal to the Raiders and their fans, and that he takes pride in representing that team. But loyalty only goes so far in the modern NFL, especially if an organization decides to go in another direction. Players don't always get to choose their path. And if the Raiders believe they can't compete at a high level right now, moving Crosby could be part of a larger plan. Still, the thought of seeing him in a Cowboys uniform standing next to Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and that stacked secondary is something that has Dallas fans dreaming big. There's also a financial angle to consider. Crosby's contract is hefty, but manageable for a contender that's willing to move some money around. The Cowboys have a few expensive deals on their books, but with some restructuring and a few future adjustments, they could make it work. Plus, the value he would bring to the defense and the energy he'd inject into that locker room could be worth every penny. Players like him don't just impact games, they change team culture. Another thing that's adding fuel to this story is the recent silence from both teams. The Cowboys haven't denied making calls, and the Raiders haven't shut down the rumors either. Usually, when a story like this is pure fiction, teams move quickly to dismiss it. The fact that both sides are keeping quiet has only made fans more curious. Social media has exploded with speculation, with fans imagining what a Parsons-Crosby tandem could look like. Some are even calling it the scariest potential pass rush duo in modern Cowboys history. And let's not forget Jerry Jones' love for big headlines. This is a man who understands the value of making a splash. Every time the Cowboys make a move, it dominates the news cycle. Trading for Maxx Crosby would be more than just a football decision, it would be a statement. It would tell the rest of the league that the Cowboys aren't just chasing playoff wins anymore, they're going all in for a Super Bowl. And after years of heartbreak and disappointment, you can bet that both Jerry and Cowboys Nation are hungry for that next Lombardi trophy. So what happens next? For now, it's just talks, or at least, that's all we know. But trade deadlines have a funny way of bringing out the unexpected. We've seen massive deals go down in the final days before the cutoff, and if the Cowboys truly believe Crosby is the missing piece, they could make a move that shocks everyone. The question is whether the Raiders would be willing to pick up the phone. If this deal ever materializes, it could redefine both franchises. For Dallas, it would mean turning their already dominant defense into something legendary. For Las Vegas, it would mark the start of a new chapter, a painful one, perhaps, but potentially a necessary step toward a full rebuild. Either way, this rumor has already ignited a firestorm of discussion across the NFL, and all eyes are now on the Cowboys to see if they're ready to pull the trigger. So, what do you think, Cowboys Nation? Should Dallas go all in and make a run at Maxx Crosby, even if it means giving up valuable draft picks and future assets? Or should they stick with the core they have and continue developing from within? One thing is certain, this rumor has made things a lot more exciting in Dallas, and as we get closer to the trade deadline, the tension is only going to grow. That's all for now, but if this story develops any further, you can bet we'll be right here breaking it down for you. This could be one of the biggest trade stories of the season, and if it happens, it might just change the entire balance of power in the NFC. So stay tuned, because the next few days could get wild in Cowboys land. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the breaking news surrounding the Cowboys and Maxx Crosby, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We've got plenty more coming your way, and you're not going to want to miss what happens next in this incredible story.